and thank you for spending the evening with us. My presentation is going to be from a practitioner's lens, and I'll focus on culturally responsive teaching, well, the acronym CRT, which gets erroneously conflated with critical race theory. And this emerged in 1990s. Gloria Ladson-Billings introduced this concept of culturally responsive teaching. She viewed it as a way to maximize students' academic achievement by integrating their cultural references in the classroom. And it responds to challenges and opportunities posed by the presence of social cultural diversity. And culturally responsive instructors do not trivialize cultural differences. They're reflective and they're aware of their own biases and how these may affect interactions with their students. And they have knowledge of institutional barriers that prevent some cultural groups from accessing resources. And they also have the capacity to tolerate ambiguity. So CRT incorporates critical literacy, which according to Luke, asks students to both deconstruct text, which means to critically analyze how they represent inequities in our society, and reconstruct them back by discovering new possibilities, new perspectives, and new opportunities. So our students' lives are shaped by history, politics, you name it, but by engaging our students with difficult subjects that are intertwined with their lives is a tenet of CRT. So I teach at Independence and non-traditional school, and I would like to share one of my class profiles just to give you a framework of the diversity in regards to my student population. 6 students identify as female, 8 as male. 2 students have IEPs. 1 has a diagnosis of ADHD. 1 is a student with autism whose accommodations require the option to access all assignments digitally. 1 student has a 504 whose accommodations require assignments to be broken into smaller chunks. 3 students are English language learners with levels 2, 3, and 5. And 4 students speak a language other than English at home. And we know that PWCS is a majority minority school system. And the percentage of minority students in 2021-22 was 72%, while the percentage of minority employees was 37%. And CRT demands that we build the capacity of diverse students and focus on academic achievement. And it's imperative that we incorporate text that authentically represent marginalized voices and acknowledge one's own implicit biases, and that analyze the class climate from the lens of power positionality. And we are able to transfer and distribute authority among students and co-create spaces of courageous dialogue. Zareta Hamid, who's the author of Culturally Responsive Teaching and Brain, speaks about a few misconceptions about CRT. She delineates between multicultural education and CRT. Multicultural education is a celebration of diversity, inclusion, harmony, while CRT is about accelerating learning and understanding that cultural artifacts are not a cognitive scaffold. She also mentions that a trusting relationship is critical, but it's not enough. Instruction needs to be made culturally responsive through differentiation and inquiry. There is often an assumption made that scholarship and academia are necessarily drudging endeavors and can be taught in a space devoid of relational and empathetic components. But CRT is built on the core tenet of empathetic rigor. We need to minimize stress levels. We need to create a safe space for our students. We need to honor their ways of learning, and we need to leverage their cultural lexicon to take them to another level. At this point, I would like to share two of my students' writings that highlight the criticality of implementing culturally responsive teaching. What I remember most about Leslie is her radiant smile and her furious scribbles and notes on margins of articles. She had immigrated to the United States 3 years prior to attending my English 10 class. She was ELL level 2 and found writing cumbersome, laborious, and difficult. And this is what she wrote in response to a writing prompt about describing a metaphor for one's own writing identity. My writing is like pushing a turtle to run faster because I used to write in English. It's so hard to me, but meanwhile, I like to write because it helps me to learn more English. And I'm proud of my writing and also to become a good writer of English. English is so important here in USA because if you don't learn to write or read, you are seen like you are nothing here. My writing is like pushing a turtle to run faster, also because when I start to write in English, I have first to think in Spanish and then put in English, because if I don't first think in Spanish, I feel like I don't know what I'm writing in English. I know that's so difficult and hard for me. I don't know how to say words that are so hard to say. I'm so shy to say because when I was in another school, I was there where some students laughed at my pronunciation. And I say to me, nobody is perfect and no one came to this world knowing everything. And I also wanted to share Philly's poem about his writing persona. I remember that he used to sing with his church choir at his Baptist church on Sundays. He was chronically tardy and frequently stayed a few minutes after his class ended to chat about his music passion. To handle my aggression, mainly negative, you live in a bad community, you curse somebody out, mom and dad separated, makes me more mad. Writing is your business, not for public, just like to be by myself. Basement, freestyle in the mind, 2 hours of writing, go back and act like nothing happened. Want to hear proper words? You go get a book. In a writing class, I write fake. Teachers tell me write 6 paragraphs, not 2. They take it over the top. Write this, write that, write this, write that. Got to be sad or mad. One of them. You can't be happy in writing. There's no point. As life goes on, I'll probably live better. I want a writing club with serious writers who walk out of it not feeling happy. After reading these responses, I felt compelled to reflect on my ability to navigate their experiential alienation and their complex narratives fraught with power differentials. And, students begin to doubt their literacy identities and also fear deviating from institutional and class expectations. And I also wanted to mention that according to Hall, literacy identities constructed across different, often intersecting and antagonistic discourses, practices, and positions morph into disengaged writers. And that becomes
30 seconds.
Antithetical to CRT. So this co-creation of discourse and tension spaces with the objective of interrogating equity issues is imperative to elevating the discourse to a social construct. And we need to ask who has access? How do we understand our embodiment of privilege and operation, both historical and current? And how do we empower our students without becoming the savior authority? And I continue to reflect on who are my students? Who am I? And what do I carry into my classroom? Thank you.
Very good stuff.